Hi everyone, I'm back with the next segment in the homemade dog food videos. The hearts and livers are done cooking. 75 minutes is up. The heat is off, and at this point I'm just waiting for the entire cooker to depressurize. We are at, about little under 5 pounds of pressure now. When that gets down to 0, I'll be able to open it up and I will start putting I'll start putting the pieces, because this is probably what's going to be left in there, is because it kind of breaks up the especially the heart, which is a very strong muscle. It'll start to break it up into pieces, and at that point in time I'll put it over here into the blender, which you can see is dirty because I've already put the eggs in there and kind of pulverized those down. So the eggs have already been put into the dog food along with the other vegetables. We're waiting for the meat to depressurize so that I can start pulverizing that and adding it to the bowl. I'm going to pan around real quick. I'll try to do it as slow and easy as possible so you don't get sick. And this is what we have so far. So I have the white rice mixed in here, and I had a couple of extra things in the refrigerator, so I decided just to throw those in. I had some diced up cucumbers, tossed those in, and I had some other pieces of diced up carrot. I didn't bother cooking the diced up pieces because those will cook when I'm doing the canning process because they're thin enough. I mean, they're pretty much, let me see if I can grab one here. See how thin and wafer like that is? That'll cook up in no time in the canning jar. So I didn't feel the need to throw that in with the chunks, because the chunks I did need to cook before putting them in, just to make them a little softer so that when I kind of push it down a little bit into the jar, it's not a big hunk. It's soft enough that it'll kind of break itself down into the jar. And so this is the next step. Got this all mixed in. The next video is where it's going to get pretty disgusting looking, because I'm going to literally add brown pulverized meat stuff into the mix along with the juices that the meat created when it was cooking. That will give the dog food a little bit more moisture, so that way it's not like this really dry consistency when I open up one of the canning jars to give it to my dog later on. It actually keeps it quite moist. So I always keep that extra meat stock and add it right back into the whole dog food blend so that I have something that's a little bit more like you would see in a store with the quote-unquote gravy that they make. So this will kind of be like that. So I'm going to stop the video for now. I just wanted to kind of give you a screenshot of what it looks like in the bowl and where we are in the process, so that way if anybody has any questions as they follow along, they can put a note in the comments as far as the question. But I'm trying to make this as streamlined as possible so that pretty much anybody can do it, as long as you have the ingredients and the time on your hands. The canning jars, I wanted to make mention of this because I forgot to earlier. So I'm going to pan back around to show you those canning jars that I showed you in the other video. So the canning jars that are in here are half pints. I use those because I have a small dog. She's a Shih Tzu and she's about 20 pounds, which is a little heavy for a Shih Tzu. But I find that one of these jars, I'll give her half of one a day. Some people may choose to give their dog more than that, but for me, the half pints work best for her, and it allows me to control a little bit more how much she's getting, because I admit she gets a lot of treats, and that's probably why she has the weight problem that she does. So even though I'm not good at telling her no when it comes to the treats, at least this way I feel a little bit more comfortable with being careful how much of the dog food she's getting, just because they say that you shouldn't give too much liver organ to a dog anyway, and that's why there's only one liver in there with 5 hearts, because I don't want to get too much liver in the mixture so that she's getting too much on a regular basis. So I just wanted to kind of point that out. Also, with these half pints, most of them I have been given for free. I did a video of this maybe not quite 6-7 months ago. When people find out that I can, everybody seems to have jars that they want to get rid of, that have been in the basement. They were grandmas, they were an aunts, whatever the case. So I end up acquiring a lot of jars from people for free. They just give them up. They don't know what to do with them. And it makes them feel better to think that they're going to a home where they're actually going to be used for what they were originally made for. So I don't use my jars for crafts and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with that, but they're a useful tool. These are part of my trade, so to speak, when I'm doing all of my canning. This is part of my tools. Just like a carpenter, he needs his saws, and he needs his his different tools, his pneumatic nail gun and his pneumatic air compressor and all that good stuff that a carpenter or another skilled tradesman might need for their trade. These are part of what I need as far as tools for what I like to do. So, these to me are like gold. I'm very careful with them. I try to be careful how I store them, because when I lose a jar, well, that's one more jar that I'm going to have to replace in my arsenal of canning jars. So I'm going to close this now and let those, because it's been letting way too much heat out, but I just kind of wanted to share that little bit on the actual canning jars themselves. So I'm going to end this part of the video, and I'll be back when it's time to pulverize all of the meat, which won't be very long now, because we're down to about 3 pounds of pressure. So this will go pretty quickly. So I'll be back. Bye.